So today I'm going to run you through how to set up WordPress on your local environment, so on your local PC. You might be designing or developing a website for yourself or a family member, perhaps even a client or customer, and rather than developing it on a live environment, on a live server, which can be quite slow, and also put the client side at risk, I'm going to show you how to build it locally using software called WAMP, W-A-M-P, which is basically going to temporarily convert your local PC into a web server while that software is switched on, which will allow you to develop in WordPress and really any other software, but we'll be focusing on WordPress for this example. So we're just going to Google WAMP server download, just like this. I'll put in the official link in the comments. But yeah, don't download the one from SoundForge. Make sure you're getting it from webserver.avotechno.net. So your page should look something like this. What we want to choose is we're looking for installers for WAMP server full install version. We've got a 64-bit we're running on 64-bit architecture, Windows 11 in this case, so we will download the 64-bit installer. You can see it comes with multiple versions of PHP, which will be required for developing a WordPress site. It'll also come with a version of MySQL and MariaDB, which can also be used in WordPress sites. So we're just going to click that and just let that installer run. Okay, so when you run your installer, if you are getting an error message stating that you need to install the Visual C++ redistributable packages, it is very likely if you haven't done much development or run certain software on your PC before. But I'll show an example of what that looks like. So when you run the installer and you accept the agreement and move forward, if you get this message box here, you'll see it'll say see best way to install the redistributable packages and cancel the installation. Just jump back to the website, scroll down to the very bottom, and you'll see here the files to download are here. This will just install everything in one executable, and we can just run the x64.exe here. Click next. Once that's done, let's try the installer again. So downloads, and we'll go to the WAMP server installer, and hopefully we won't get this error message again. No, we're good. So we're going to install it just in the standard C drive location. Let that install. It might take some time. Okay, we get a few boxes here. Edge will be used by the web browser as WAMP server. That's fine. If you want to change your web browser that WAMP uses by default, you can select yes here. Notepad.exe will be the text editor. Fine. If you want to choose a different text editor or a coding editor, VS Code or Notepad++ or whatever it might be, you can choose that here. Otherwise, just continue with the defaults and select no. All right, once it's done, it gives us a little bit of information about how the WAMP server actually works, but it's pretty straightforward, so we'll be able to run you through it. Just click finish once you're done, and that is all you need to do. In regards to installing, you should have the WAMP server 64 desktop icon on your desktop. So to switch on the server, just double click that and say yes to the UAC. So once that's done, take a look in the bottom right. You'll see in your toolbar here a little W, little green W. So green is indicating that the server is on, and if the server is off, it'll be a red. So just one click on there allows you to see most of your options required for this service. So what it actually means is when you put in localhost on your browser, it's going to show whatever files are located in the folder, which I'll show you now. So if you go see where you installed it, you'll see you've got WAMP64 in your C drive. Double click that, you've got www, and this is essentially the equivalent of, say, a public_HTML folder on a Linux PC or on a Linux server. So this anything that's in this folder will show on localhost. So if we click localhost here, it will come up with our server homepage. Second, let's go localhost. All right, and that shows us that the server is running. When the server is not running, so if we click it and say stop all services, we'll see it'll go amber for a moment, and then it will turn to red, which indicates it's just loading and nothing's happening. It indicates that the server is off. So some people get confused when the server is running. They think that they can actually send this link to other people outside of their home network to view their website. You can't. This is just locally on your computer. So it's basically running on a port locally to your computer. If you just send somebody localhost and they type it in their browser, they're not going to see your website or anything that you've got in that particular folder. You can share whatever development you do on the WAMP server with clients or other people, and there's a few ways to do that. You could actually put it onto a staging server, which can be visited via public domain via the internet. You could also use ingress servers such as something called ngrok or something similar. I think there's one called Kites. Something about Kites. There's another program where it basically allows you to tunnel through what's on your local host to a unique URL that the service gives you, and you can then pass that on to the outside world to view. You can also set up some port forwarding rules to allow your local host to be viewable outside of your network and over the internet. Okay, so to show you how that works, we jump back into the www folder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder called My Website. All right, and inside that folder, I'm going to create just a file called index.html. I will open it with Notepad, and I'm going to go h1 hello world h1, and we're going to save. Okay, so just for an example, now when we go localhost / my website, enter, we see whatever we've put in that folder. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. To install WordPress is free. WordPress is an open source development platform, so if anyone's trying to charge you for WordPress, they're trying to scam you, they're trying to steal your money. So all you need to do is visit wordpress.org/download, which is a little bit different from wordpress.com. So just be aware of that. We'll put that that URL in the description. You should see download WordPress with the latest version on that page. We'll click download and we'll let that go ahead and do its thing. Okay, download's complete, so we'll open it up. It'll come as a zip file. We'll just right click it and we will go to extract all, and we'll just extract it there. Okay, let that do its thing. It can take some time. All right, she's almost complete. Alrighty, so once that's extracted, we will have a WordPress folder with all of the files in it. Okay, so we're going to grab all of the files inside the extracted folder, Control A, we're going to copy, and then we're going to jump back into the main www folder where we installed it, the WAMP server. So C WAMP64, WAMP64, www, and my website. We're going to paste those WordPress files just there, nice and handy. Okay, that's done. Radical. Now, if we go to the local host my website where we installed the website files, we will still be greeted with the famous installer. However, we will require a database at some point. So it will say here, welcome to WordPress. You'll need to know the following items: your database, username, password, host, and name, and table prefix, which we haven't set up yet. So that's the final step. The final step is to go to the WAMP server in the bottom right hand corner, click the green button, scroll up to PHPmyadmin, and open PHPmyadmin in whatever version you have there. The username is always going to be root, and the password is blank when we're working on the local server. You can log in. On the left hand side, you'll see a list of databases. You will click new. Now for the database format, I usually choose the Unicode 520_CI. Database name in this one, we're going to call it my website _ database. Create. Okay. Now we're going to run the installer. So we're going to localhost my website. Bring up the famous installer. We'll go English US. Let's go. Database name is the one we just created. So my website _ database. Username is root. Password is blank at this current time. Obviously, when you migrate this over to the live server, you're going to have a database name, a database password, and a database user. Database host is local host, that'll stay the same, and our table prefix will leave the same as WP_. Submit that and run it. Site title, we'll call it my test website. Username we'll call Alan, and my password will do a really badly made unsafe password. Easily guessable password of password. And it's so weak that I'm going to have to even confirm that it's so weak. Yeah, I'm sure I want it so weak. And your email address. So alan@alanos.com.au or whatever it might be. And click install WordPress. So that's how you can install WordPress locally using a WAMP server. You can also do the same thing on a MacBook, or an Apple MacBook or Apple products, by installing something called a MAMP server. MAMP runs the same way, and by default will run on port 8080. I hope you've gained something from that, and thanks for watching.